the difference with Activate Vitality is that in our program, we're really working on where it is the internal stuff is driving the habits, stuckness, fear, all of those things
Mhm.
that are influencing how we're engaging in our businesses. And so we're working on that outside kind of product of the business, but also a lot more on the inside stuff. You're listening to the Brave OT podcast with me, Carlin Nink. This podcast is all about empowering occupational therapists to step up, level up, blaze some trails, and maybe engage in a little conscious rebellion in service of our profession, our clients, our work, our businesses, and living our mission wholeheartedly. We are all about keeping it real, doing hard things, unhustling, being curious, exploring, growing through our challenges, and finding joy, fulfillment, and vitality as we do so. Really, we're OTing ourselves and each other. I hope you love this episode. I'm excited to share something really special today. I've interviewed a number of Activate Vitality participants on the Brave OT podcast, and this short episode is a remix of sorts where we're bringing in some of their honest reflections about what it's like to move from overfunctioning and burnout to building lives and businesses that feel aligned and fulfilling. These are the voices of occupational therapists who joined our community, initially skeptical perhaps about a group coaching format. Yet they found that the magic lies in the support, accountability, and growth that they share with each other. So, if you've ever felt stuck in the cycle of overworking or wondered how to build a business that supports your life rather than draining it, this episode is for you. Today's episode is sponsored by Jane, a clinic management software and EMR. The Jane team knows that when your workday is spent providing care to your patients or clients, it can feel like there aren't enough hours in the day for the rest of your admin. This can mean that scheduling appointments becomes an after-hours task, turning what should be restful evenings into extra long workdays. That's why Jane designed user-friendly online booking, so you can give your patients the freedom to book their appointments at their own convenience, whether that's after hours or on weekends. Patients can also manage their appointments, fill out intake forms, and enable text messaging and email reminders from their secure online portal, which saves you from having to do it manually. To see how Jane can help you reclaim your evenings and weekends, head to the show notes for the link and book your personalized demo. Or, if you're ready to get started, you can use the code VITALITY at the time of sign up for a 1 month grace period applied to your new account.
The biggest thing for me was that back then I was also trying to force myself to do something that wasn't natural.
Mhm.
And I was trying to force myself to work a Monday through Friday gig. And prior, I had worked Tuesday through Saturday. And
Mhm.
I was just trying to force myself to kind of conform to what the norm is of,
Mhm.
Friday. So allowing for more space between clients and shifting my schedule to something that feels more comfortable has allowed things to get better. And that was a huge step.
Since 2021, August,
Mhm.
it brings me comfort knowing that I can just come in, come out, but I've
Mhm.
learned a way and there's just I needed to hit walls for me because that's just
Mhm.
the style I'm learning from kind of thing, but it's good. Like, it's making me grow kind of thing, so,
Yeah. Aw,
yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
so grateful
and
for
then all
you.
the participants that are in there, because there's some people I still haven't met because I come at different times. My initial intent was like, "I just need to talk to you. I need to pick your brain. You need to help me here," because I was a survival mode kind of thing. I
Yep.
wasn't necessarily looking for a group at the time, but
Yep.
I knew that's where you were heading and it made sense kind of thing. And
Yep.
then I would slowly branch out and throw, but I think it helps being on the calls because then I was like, "Oh, okay," listening to what they're going through. I was like, "Oh, yeah, I could totally relate to that." I might not speak up right away, or I'm just here to
Mhm.
watch and learn but I've been doing this since 2021. I show up and I don't know new people. But I like it because I'm like, oh, okay, where's this person from and what are they doing and
Mhm.
how does that work in the UK or like kind of thing. So I enjoy it. And whenever I'm talking, I'm like, gosh, is this helpful for anyone or is this purely for me? Because I just need to like throw this out there. And just even DMing some of the members
Yeah.
just one on one sometimes. I mean, like, hey, I know you do peds. Like, I want to pick your brain for a quick sec. So that's good. It's
Mhm.
just I feel like there's just a common ground because I know those
Mhm.
people sought you out for such and such reason. People like me, when I saw the go and yes, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, that would lines up perfectly with me," kind of thing.
Mhm.
So then, yeah, it just felt like your own little tribe and
Yeah.
people that you knew the common ground. There's no judgment. That's the neat. the nicest thing.
Yeah.
Because you can go, I mean, you can go social media, it's all full of judgment. But
Mhm.
once you enter this kind of world, it's like a little protected.
We need to not be alone. We need connection, and that creates the safety from which we can be creative and do innovative things.
And it just hit me like a light bulb too, because when I was out west, I had an amazing team. This is who
Mm.
I was connected with every day. It was in person. It was just my people kind of thing. And it was all from different backgrounds, different trades, but those people made me feel so regulated. And that's where like I could be creative. I had no judgment and it's just free to provide a service and you want to focus on quality. And then as I moved, I had to lose my trusted community
Yeah.
every time. Like I'd find one and then
Yeah.
I'd have to let it go. And then I'd find one and let it go. So the fact that I came here and the pandemic always made it different, but I think that's what made it for me. The program was like, I found it. It's just
Yeah.
a different format, but I found it.
The difference with Activate Vitality is that in our program, we're really working on where it is the internal stuff is driving the habits, stuckness, fear, like all of those things
Mhm.
that are influencing how we're engaging in our businesses. And so we're working on that outside kind of product of the business, but also a lot more on the inside stuff where that sort of there was a few years of that hustle.
It was in a group and multiple people had like a similar business idea, that sort of like conversation. And so that was something I just wanted to talk with you about. The old me would have just been like, this is uncomfortable and I'm just going to kind of walk away from that. But I knew that you would be I trusted that you are like open and you want to understand my perspective and that you care. I love the prompt that it's there every week so I can reflect back. But so for that case, like one piece of it is being able to trust our bodies, that our bodies know. But you were just talking about sometimes we don't, many of us grew up learning not to trust our bodies and our feelings are scary and overwhelming and we don't feel safe. And so in the ACT module where you're asking us to feel our feelings,
Mhm.
well, if we literally don't have the tools to and it doesn't feel safe, how can we create more safety and grounding and know that we're okay? Our body is here for us and the feelings will come and go, but we are safe so that we can tap into that wisdom. But when I signed up for Activate Vitality, what I wanted was one on one coaching. What I
Mhm.
thought I wanted was one on one coaching. And then the modules felt safe. I was like, okay, I know I'm going to get something of value. Feel like I can see it and I can go at my own pace. And as an introvert, I could do that on my own. And it was the group calls that I was like, dude, I don't really know if I want that. Like, okay, we're going to give this a go because I really like the other two really lined up. And fast forward a year later, it was like, oh, the modules were lovely. But it's the community, like, it was completely reversed, but you're just saying, like, you just made it accessible for people where group calls are just like, "Oh, I don't know about this," but that was the magic, and you help us get there by the other parts.
Right. And honestly, when I created Activate Vitality, I couldn't have foreseen what the community would be because it was blank screens in my mind at that point, right?
Mm.
That I never envisioned the the magic of the these beautiful people that all showed up and created a community because I didn't create a community. Like certainly I do things to set a tone. I do things to, by being me, the people who are somewhat like me in one way or another show up and therefore they're somewhat like each other. But that the community members make community. And I couldn't have planned for that. Like, how does one set out to create this soft place for beautiful people, like these gentle souls to land and have safety and support each other where it doesn't need to be me running everything. It's so often on a group coaching call, like I don't even call it like it doesn't seem like coaching. It's a
Uh-huh.
community call.
Yeah.
Everybody's just supporting each other. And sometimes I just sit there and have goosebumps and smile while you guys do your thing.
The community and the culture of Activate Vitality, it's such a common desire to somehow truly unlearn that because OTs are overachievers by nature. Like we had to get super high GPAs to even get in, and like we're super good at mastering everything and getting more certifications. But
Yes.
right, it was funny, and of course, in the beginning, I thought I needed more certification. And part of one of your modules is like, if you think you need more certifications, I was like, damn it, are you reading my mind?
So the
But
productivity,
yeah.
because we tend to be high achievers, we have been rewarded our lifetime for high achievement. Therefore, our value is in our productivity and what we can
Yep.
produce and what we can achieve. And the thought of slowing down actually feels scary because what am I worth if I'm not achieving, producing? And we know we actually want to take breaks. We know we actually want to have a business so that maybe we could go, to the park in the afternoon instead of working sometimes, or volunteer at our kids' school, or go for coffee or go for lunch, or like we want that flexibility. But when we go to try and do it
Mm.
and we go, no, no, like I've got this to-do list. My to-do list isn't done. Like I can't have dessert before my meal. Right.
And so it's really just weaving in. And part of it comes from, like, it pulls from lots of different places. So the practice, it's an embodiment practice that we come together in community. We do a check-in, and then I offer just an embodiment practice, and I guide us through that. And then we kind of come together. Our body is designed to alert us when we're about to do something scary. Alert, alert. This is new. This is scary. This is vulnerable. This has risk. And before Activate Vitality, I just took that often and was like, okay, yeah, my body's telling me not to do that. So, okay, not that, find something else. And it was like, couldn't move through that fear because it was just like, oh, that's telling me it's dangerous and I shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
And you just framed that differently from the growth mindset, that now when I feel that fear and that tightness, and this is what's so nuanced, right? And so then we can like talk with it, give it a little bit more space, and oh, I'm about to do this scary thing that's totally normal. Of course, my body doesn't want me to do this thing that has risk or fear to it, but I'm choosing it because it's in alignment with my values now. Through Activate Vitality, it's like this long journey of understanding what our values are. And it's like, is this in alignment with my value? Yes. Okay, then I'm going to do this really uncomfortable thing. And how do you do really uncomfortable things that are against the norm?
Mhm.
It's like a huge way is having a community of other people doing really hard things that are against the norm, that are in service of themselves and their values. And so you're like naming the steps actively and talking us through it. It's like, oh, that's what it means to move towards something, even when you're feeling uncomfortable. And the other piece I love is there is no shame in our group. We've all been there. If anything, you're like, yeah, I know it's super hard. And now we get another chance to do a towards move. So I
Yep.
love that you don't have shame.
Yeah.
To have a community of people behind you, like cheering you on for that way of being in your life,
Mm.
like lets you keep stepping into scary and uncomfortable things, that has brought me so much freedom and happiness.
It's true. And so often that away move was actually a bit of wisdom that we needed a bit of a break, or we needed to not always be pursuing, or that the pause is okay.
I joined your program and learned lots in terms of self-reflection and just taking those steps back, and what is it and how do you manage that? How do you manage those things? And yeah, and I just feel like I've come such a long way and my business is very nearly where I want it to get to, which is great. And for me, coaching was one-to-one. That was how I saw it. Coaching is one-to-one. And then you have this community, and I thought, "Whoa, I don't know how that's going to work. I'm quite a shy person. That's going to be a bit like, oh, I don't know if that's for me." And you said something along the lines of, most people think it's the one-to-one, but actually it's the community. And if you engage fully in the community, then that's the whole idea of a program. And I thought, oh, okay, well, we'll give it a go. I was at a point where I needed change, so join the community. And I think probably the first maybe one, I was quiet, but then actually everyone is just so lovely and really open, and everybody's there for their own reasons, but on a similar theme. We're all there looking to either redirect or find the next step. It's just everyone was so welcoming to me, and I just feel like over time I've got the confidence to share and with others how I've found, like, setting my boundaries and how I found those things helped. But in the spirit of the community and having that curiosity and that open to try things and to try something different.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like the community gave me not just the confidence, the courage to just do it and just go for it. And then almost like, what's the worst that can happen? I joined your program in the September, and I was in a very much misbalance of all so much had gone in life. Everything was a lot. And I was having to deal with all of the aftermath of her passing away, sorting out the boys, sorting out the house, and all the emotions that go with and joining your program. I wanted to get on my back on my boat, and I wanted to be the captain, and I wanted to take that time. I wanted to get through what I had to get through because things needed done. But then I wanted to spend that time to find out who I was again. And I think it came through one of your modules that I'd done is that actually I was spending a lot of time doing to avoid feeling and to avoid having to deal with those really tricky emotions.
It was, I guess, probably about a month ago. And one of the members said, okay, so you did that this week. You need to do it again next week. I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I need to do it again next week. And as Monday was approaching throughout the week, I had her voice in my head saying, you've got to do it again. And so
And she's
Monday,
in the UK, so I'm sure you heard her accent, right? She's
I
like,
did.
Put it in your diary.
And so I did. And that Sunday night, I'm like, okay, tomorrow morning, it's for me. What am I going to do? What am I going to plan? And it felt so good coming to the call on Wednesday that week and saying, hey, I did it. And she was there to cheer me on. And it's just, I don't know, it's been really beautiful having that place to share and also that place to have accountability. I'll be honest, I was skeptical about the group setting and what that was going to feel like.
I know you will.
And yes, I was. Like, I'm all for coaching and counseling. It's changed my life. It has really helped me to learn so much. I was really skeptical about the group and what that was going to be like. And it's so beautiful. The group is so beautiful because we're all there honoring each other and helping keep each other accountable. And you learn from other people's stories and what they're going through. And I do think it's also this reminder that there's so many layers to us as humans.
Like I've learned in your course too, and just learned through my own self-development and all the courses I've taken and the therapy I've done, right, and continue to do in terms of tiny, consistent steps day by day. So that's how right now, then it evolves. Every new self-help book I'm learning for myself, I am integrating into my mentorship for someone else because it might resonate and maybe they don't have time to read that whole book. So here's my bite-sized chunk of what I learned in this book. Let's try it. I remember like folding laundry in the laundry room and like listening to your coursework and being like, oh my gosh, I got to pause that and rewind. It was like, I was so invested in it because it had all those aspects too, right? Like you have the community and the time to meet and discuss with you. So I was way more invested in the coursework because I knew, not that I had to, right? But I was committing to coming to those sessions and then discussing, okay, what's going on for you now?
Thank you so much for listening to this glimpse into the Activate Vitality community. If you're feeling inspired and ready to create a sustainable, values aligned business where you don't have to go it alone, I'd love to invite you to join us in Activate Vitality. This isn't a one size fits all coaching program. We dive into what's driving your habits, the fears or patterns that might be holding you back, and how to build a life and business that supports you fully. One of the most powerful parts is the community itself, being surrounded by other OTs on the same journey toward living and working differently. Together, we create the space to grow, connect, and hold each other accountable. Enrollment in Activate Vitality is open now just till October 31st. So if you're ready to take that next step, book a clarity call with me today and let's see how Activate Vitality could support your journey. You'll find a link to book that call in the show notes. And if you are listening past that date, send me a message. I'll put my email down below and maybe you can get on the list for the next time I launch Activate Vitality. Thanks for listening. And as always, be brave OTs.